Perek Yud Ches Mishnah Gimel. This third and last Mishnah of Perek Yud Ches discusses the Yoledes on Shabbos. First of all, we discuss the halacha of a behema, and then we talk about miyaldenes or isha, about a woman in childbirth. Says the Mishnah, Ein miyaldenes ha behema b'yontif. You're not allowed to assist an animal in delivering its young on Yontif, and kol shekain on Shabbos, aval masa'adin, but we may support the animal. So what does this mean? So it says the Bar Tanura as follows. Ein miyaldin. That means ein moishchin havlad min harechem b'yontif. You're not allowed to pull or to draw out the fetus, the vlad, from the uterus, from the rechem, b'yontif on yontif, and certainly not on Shabbos. De'ika tirchi yaseira, because that involves tirchi yaseira, excessive toil, which we discussed in the previous two Mishnahs, is an issa d'rabbanan, which Chazal imposed. So you can't actually draw the fetus out of the mother, out of the mother behema on Yontif and Kol Sheken Shabbos. Aval Masa'adin, says the Bar Tanura, Oiches es havlad shelo yipa la'aretz. You are allowed to draw out the child, or to hold the child as it emerges, so long as you don't draw the child out of the uterus, so long you can just hold the child so that it shouldn't fall to the ground. You sort of can catch it or hold it as it emerges. The Gemara says also you're allowed to sort of press the sides of the uterus so that the animal, the fetus, could come out more easily. But when it comes to an isha, when it comes to a human being, when it comes to a lady giving birth on Shabbos, miyaldin b'Shabbos, you're actually allowed to draw the fetus out on Shabbos, and ein tzarich lomer, without a doubt, you're allowed to do it on Yontif as well, because for an isha this is considered pikuach nefesh, and therefore you're allowed to do whatever you can to help the lady give birth on Shabbos, and you can actually draw the fetus out of the mother. And certainly you're allowed to hold on to the baby, that it shouldn't chasron drop or anything like that. The korin la chachama mimakom lemakom. You're allowed to call, to summons a midwife, literally a wise woman, a midwife, mimakom lemakom, if she happens to be in another place. The Bar Tanura says, "Ve'ein chosheshin le'isa tchumim." We're not worried about the issa of tchum. So even if the midwife is beyond the tchum, you're allowed to bring her to summons her there. The Tiferes Yisrael says that even if a midwife is in town, if there is an expert midwife elsewhere, you're still allowed to call the expert from beyond the tchum. More than that, the Tosfos Yontif says, and the Tiferes Yisrael also say, that you're allowed to summons the midwife even from a point beyond 12 mil, which according to the Rif and the Rambam would involve an Issa Deraisa of traveling on Shabbos. Now, the Mishnah carries on. As follows: V'koishrin es hatabur, and you are allowed to tie the umbilical cord. Rabbi Yossi Omer af choitchin. Not only can you tie it, but you can even actually sever. You can cut it after the point beyond the knot. And any requirement, any need for the mila, you're allowed to do on Shabbos, which will be the discussion of the next parak. Now, the Bar Tanura brings an interesting brisa from the Gemara regarding what we can do to mechal Shabbos for this yoledes, for this lady who's given birth. Says the Bar Tanura, "Mechalin oleves Shabbos." You're allowed to mechal Shabbos for a yoledes, mishah shehi yosheves al hamashber, from the moment which she is sitting in labor, umasir hadam liyos shoises, and the blood is beginning to trickle out. At kol gimel yomim achash yolda. For 3 days after she's given birth, she is in a state where you're allowed to mechal Shabbos for her. Bein omra tzrichani, bein noyama tzrichani. Whether she says she needs Shabbos to be broken for her or not, it doesn't make a difference. You're allowed to mechal, and you're allowed to mechal Shabbos for her. Now, of course, we're talking about a situation in the continuation of this brisa, whether or not, if there's a pikuach nefesh, there's no question whether she's in childbirth or not. You're allowed to mechal Shabbos for anybody if it's pikuach nefesh. But we're now talking specifically about yoledes, and for the first 3 days, you're allowed to mechal Shabbos for her. Migimel ad zayin, from day 3 after birth until day 7, omra tzricha ani mechalin. If she says she needs, for example, hot water or heat or light or something like that, you can be mechal Shabbos. Loy omra tzricha ani ein mechalin. But if she doesn't say anything, she doesn't say I need this, then you can't break Shabbos for her. Mizayin ad lamed, from day 7 through to day 30, afilu omrat tzricha ani ein mechalin. Even if she says, I need this, then ein mechalin. Of course, there's no pikuach nefesh involved. Avol oisim tzricha alidei nochri. But you can tell a Gentile, a non-Jewish person, to do melacha for her. And the halacha of a cholesh she'ein bo sakona is that amir la'akum, even to do a deraisa, is mutar. Because amir la'akum is derabanan. And b'makom cholesh she'ein bo sakona, Chazal won't go there. V'dov she'ein bo sakona, oisim tzorach alidei nochri. Okay. One further point, and is that the Gemara is troubled by the phrase "Mechalin es Shabbos," that we can be Mechal Shabbos for her. Seemingly, we know this already. We've just been told Meyalvin es Oisha b'Shabbos v'Kurin ochachoma m'mokum l'mokum. So, what is the Tana adding by telling us Mechalin oleh es Shabbos? So the Gemara asks this question, and the Gemara says that the Chiddush is that you can be Mechal Shabbos, for example, to light candles, even for a yoledes, for a lady in childbirth who is blind. And even though she won't get any direct benefit from the candles being lit, she's blind, nevertheless, she will have a menuchas nefesh, the sort of the peace of mind in the knowledge that it's light and other people will benefit from that light. And if that eases her peace of mind, then that is sufficient justification to be Mechal Shabbos for her. When it says Koshvin es hatabur, cutting the umbilical cord, we paskin like Rabbi Yosi, who says af choytchin, not only can you tie it, but even says Rabbi Yosi you can cut it, and says the Bartanur of a halacha Rabbi Yosi, the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, shechoytchin oisoi, that he allows you to cut the umbilical cord, umenakim oisoi, and you can clean up and clean the place of the cut, v'noisin olav avak hadas v'chuyetzibo, and you can put there some sort of powder from hadassim or some myrtles or whatever the equivalent is. You're allowed to do all of that on Shabbos. And indeed, kol tzorchei mila you're allowed to do on Shabbos, as we'll discuss in Mitzvah Hashem in the next parak. That is the end of parak Yudches, Mishnah Gimel.